Welcome, everybody. I'm going to call this May 26, 2020 regular meeting of the City of Coolidge, Coolidge City Council to order. First order of business will be invocation by Pastor Bill Carney of the Christ Lutheran Church. After the invocation, please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Welcome, Pastor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I may just start with a brief announcement, Mr. Mayor, if you indulge me for a second. One of our charter members died yesterday, and I share that tonight because I know that he sat where you guys sat for over 20 years, Paul Preschel. And I think it was like 24, 26 years he sat up there. And yesterday he died and went home to heaven. Just a quick note, if you're interested, his service will be at Christ next Wednesday, June 3rd at 10 a.m. in the morning, if you're interested to know that. Viewing will be 9 o'clock. The service will be 10 o'clock at Christ Lutheran. Everybody, let's pray, shall we? Heavenly Father, we thank you for this glorious day, a day in which you so richly have blessed us with so many gifts and talents to share with the good people here in Coolidge. We thank you for the opportunities we had this day to serve others and in doing so serve you. And Father, we thank you for your continued presence and protection as we work our way through this pandemic. We thank you for the medical staff and all the medical health professionals that have guided so many people through illnesses and sicknesses. And Father, we ask for your continued presence among your people here, that you would keep us safe and protected. And Father, we want to raise a special petition to you this night for all our fire and police personnel who run into situations and places that we wouldn't even dream about in our worst nightmares. Protect them, dear Lord. Be with them, guide them, spread your angels' wings around them as they serve and protect us. Father, we ask you to bless this council, bless their work, bless their plans, that all may be according to your glory. And last but not least, dear Lord, bless this meeting, that all that is said and done here will bring you glory, honor, and praise. We pray this all in Jesus' dear name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Norma, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Jimmy Walker?
Here.
Councilmember Tina Kaufman? Councilmember Steve Hudson?
Here.
Mayor John Thompson?
Here.
Vice Mayor Jackie Henry? Councilmember Ben Navarro?
Here.
And Councilmember Tatiana Murieta? Here. Thank you. We have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you, Norma. There are no presentations tonight, so we will go to business items for consent. Before I read those, are there any members of the council that want any of these items to be pulled off for individual consideration?
No, sir. Item 6.
6. Okay. Councilmember Marietta, any? No? Thank you. Okay, so we'll take item 6 off. Here we go. Item 4, consider approval of ratifying the letter of agreement between the City of Coolidge and Banner Occupational Health, Arizona, LLC, for the purpose of providing occupational health care services for the City of Coolidge employees as it relates to medical evaluations and health screenings. Item 5, consider approval of entering into a uniform video service license agreement between the City of Coolidge and Cox Communications, Arizona, LLC, for the purpose of providing video services in the City of Coolidge Incorporated areas as outlined in Exhibit B. Item 7, consider approval of declaring a 1997 Dodge Ram as surplus property and for disposal, allowing vehicle maintenance to liquidate the vehicle through auction. Item 8, resolution number 20-09, a resolution of the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Coolidge, Arizona, authorizing and directing the Mayor to enter into an intergovernmental agreement IGA number IGA 20-0007732-I between the State of Arizona, acting by and through its Department of Transportation, and the City of Coolidge for safety improvements at Coolidge Avenue and 9th Street and at Vaca Inn Road and Valley Farms Road. Item 9, consider approval of ratifying the CARES Act Airport Grants Agreement between the United States of America Department of Transportation, acting through the Federal Aviation Administration, and the City of Coolidge for a $30,000 grant of economic relief federal funds. Item 10, consider approval of entering into agreements and addendum between the City of Coolidge and Quadient, a Neopost company, and Total Funds Plus for the city's postage equipment, utilizing a WSCA contract number ADSP 016-169901 in the best interest of the city. And item 11, consider approval of the claims for the month of April 2020. If there's nothing,
Mr. Mayor, go ahead. No further discussion. I make a motion we approve consent items 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11.
Second.
okay, there's a motion and a second. Norma?
Councilmember Navarro?
Yes.
Councilmember Murrieta? Councilmember Walker?
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson?
Yes.
And Mayor Thompson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 6, consider approval of the application of extension of premises/patio permit submitted by Post Commander Mr. Derek Lynn Hulsebus for the VFW Post 3713 to expand their backyard area to accommodate future events, games, and activities. Mr. Navarro?
Well, I've driven by there. I have no problem with them expanding to accommodate all this stuff. I know the fence is a chain link fence. My only concern was some kind of visual barrier between the road and the patrons inside. They're going to be playing games. They're going to be doing whatever. So they could have some sort of privacy. So there's just some kind of visual barrier. And with chain link, you don't have that. Whatever's going on in there, whether they're playing games or being loud or whatever, I have no expectation of total privacy. But just something to give kind of a barrier. So if you're in a restaurant or something of that nature, a bar or anything like that, you do have a little bit of privacy from the public. And that's all I was looking for. If maybe there's something that we could do to have some sort of privacy. I wouldn't want them to have to take their fence down. They already have the chain link fence up. It's just some kind of barrier, whether it was a screen or slats or something that would give the patrons some kind of privacy in it. And that's all I was just wondering, if maybe there was something, some kind of happy medium that could be found with that.
Is there anybody that, and is this around the whole fence, Mr. Councilmember, or is it just around?
My main concern was actually just the road on Coolidge, but as it was pointed out, you can easily see it from 3rd Street. So it would be across let's see, it would be the south side and the east side. So I really have no concerns about the north side of it. It's facing the alley. So it would just be those two sides.
I didn't see Tim Hansen out there, so.
Mr. Mayor, I know that I was out and talked to the individual that was responsible for, getting this fence erected. And the chain link fence is a fence that's allowed per code. They put it on their property line, and I understand your concern for maybe giving them some privacy inside. When I spoke to the individual that was putting the fence up, they said they wanted to put it there. They were planning on putting in a monument that they wanted to be visible. They didn't express any desire to screen it, to screen what was going on inside the fenced yard. I appreciate the concern. Maybe the only thing you could screen it with would be two things now with the chain link, either slats or fabric, and both of those are going to just be destroyed with a couple of windstorms. And one of the things I have concern about any fencing at all is the potential for graffiti. even on a slatted fence, some kids can go by and spray graffiti on it, and then you've got a real eyesore. So I think they wanted to do some landscaping. They were talking about maybe planting some cypress trees there along inside the fence. Maybe they could do some landscaping that would even look more attractive than slats to give the privacy that you're looking for.
Actually, I think that's a good idea too. Just something to give them some sort of privacy and be some kind of buffer between the people walking down the sidewalk and the patrons that are inside, so it's just not back to back. And with landscaping, even if somebody does come along and hit it with a spray can, you can trim up the bush or whatever, and that would take care of it. It's just some kind of barrier there, and that's all I was looking for. I was kind of hoping somebody would be here, but nobody is. So.
Okay, anybody else?
So I guess that was my only gripe, I guess.
Mr. Mayor, Member Council, I'd be happy to, again, communicate that concern maybe for some privacy and see if we can't work out some kind of a landscaping that would accomplish some of your concerns there. I know they eventually are going to acquire the property on the very corner. I don't think they've done that yet. And so they have a gate there on the east side that they want to utilize for ingress and egress into this property for a vehicle. So, may not be able to plant anything in front of the gate, obviously, so.
I think all that property was left to them. I think all that property, the remainder of that was left to them. So, okay.
Mayor, if there's no further discussion, I make a motion we approve item 6 as read.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Moving to business, regular items, item 12. Consider an award of bid to Garrett Motors in the amount of $42,008.88 to purchase a 2020 Chevy Silverado heavy-duty crew cab work truck for the Transit Department.
Mayor, before we vote on this, first I want to abstain, but I'd like to make a couple comments. With General Motors pretty much being shut down for 2 months because of the COVID virus, and the bid was actually, you cannot order any more vehicles for fleet, which this vehicle would be ordered as a fleet vehicle. The truck that I was getting was from Royal Truck Body, which is a major company that provides trucks and beds for companies, municipalities all through the United States. When I went to secure this vehicle, when we got the bid, they had sold out. But they have probably 50 vehicles that are in General Motors supply that are going to be built, and until probably for another couple of weeks, won't know exactly if all 50 of them are going to be built and how many are committed to. I voiced my concern to Gabe and Ernie, and there's a possibility that bid might not be fulfilled, but it's about an 80% chance. So I just wanted to bring that up, and it's probably going to be put together before the fiscal budget that would pay for this from the transit, state and federal transit. So I just wanted to bring that up and let everybody know it's something that all the manufacturers were closed down. They were closed down for 2 months, and they were making ventilators instead of automobiles. So something that nobody could foresee. Hopefully we can get it done. I just wanted to let everybody know the situation of it right now. And like I said, I am abstaining from voting on it.
So Dennis, if we vote to approve to buy this, and they don't make another truck until July, or we can't get one until July, does it carry over? I mean, into the next budget? Yeah.
Is it transit? Yeah, I think council is just giving authorization to the city to purchase the truck for this amount at this time. So, I mean, I think if it takes until next fiscal year, we'd have to make room in the budget for it.
Mayor, members of the council, this truck was awarded. We are on the federal fiscal year for transit, so we have until September 30th to actually purchase this truck. So when Councilmember Hudson notified me that the inventory shortage, I did tell him we had until September. Basically, you're authorizing us to use this money. the match money, so we would just have to roll that match money, which would be fine. The only thing is that if it doesn't get purchased before September, we can apply to ADOT for an extension of the capital, and sometimes they will do that. They went to a 2-year funding cycle, so this was awarded in year 1 for this transit grant. We could essentially try to ask them to re-award that in year 2 because we didn't, because of the shortage. They know because of COVID and some other things that we may need extensions on certain things. This would be under that, so there shouldn't be any problem as long as the council approves this. We have the authority to go forward, and whether it be this city fiscal year or the next transit fiscal year. Like I said, transit fiscal year will start in October.
And we already had this in the budget, or is this money that
We have this
got
in the
from
budget.
Okay.
And currently, so basically what happened was some of the things we talked about earlier, some that may roll over, that would change our capital next year to just include that match as well.
Okay.
But it'd
Thank
be a rollover from this year.
Anybody else have any?
Well, I did have a
Go ahead,
question for Councilmember Hudson. It wouldn't matter if, because this is GM shortage, so it wouldn't matter if we went through Garrett or if we went through anywhere else. They just don't have the trucks.
That's partially correct and partially not correct. I don't have a truck like that in my inventory. There is trucks out there in other dealers' inventory. I don't know if they can match the price or not. I cannot get one from another dealer. There is such a shortage right now of inventory. I think we're down to probably 11 or 12 new vehicles when we usually stock about 50 or 60. And that's just not us. I mean, Courtesy Chevrolet, your major corporations have the same problem. I mean, if you don't have something to give them equivalent, you're not going to get it.
Councilmember Navarro.
There's dealers down in Tucson. I did a dealer trade with a dealer down in Tucson, and he sells about 150 new vehicles a month. And he did not have one half-ton Silverado truck that I could get back for a Buick Enclave. And so I took another vehicle because we try to help each other out. But that's how short the supply is, and making it real difficult to do business every day. And it's just not us, it's everywhere nationwide.
Councilmember Navarro, the thing to piggyback off of that is this falls under federal procurement as opposed to our local procurement. So it wasn't like we went to Garrett's and just asked them to do this and waive any bid requirements. We cannot waive those bid requirements under the federal laws. So we actually had this out on a proper RFP to go out. So all other dealerships had an opportunity to bid on it. They couldn't deliver it. There was no other dealers that put in. There were actually some that submitted a no bid because of time issues. So, I mean, there could have been a different make or model or anything. It wasn't like we were specifically going for a Chevy or GMC in this case because it is federal money. If it was our own local money, we could, ask that it be a GMC or anything like that. But because of federal standards, we had to go out on the market, and there's no state contract or anything like that. It is the price.
And I saw that Garrett's was the only dealer that actually submitted a bid.
And it was it was under the assumption that we could get it. So like I said, I mean, there were other dealers. I mean, there was, I think there was a Ford dealer that reached out to us and said, we can get you one, but nowhere near that timeline. So.
Good. All right. Nobody has anything else? What's your pleasure?
Make a motion we approve item 12 is read.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I note, Norma, that Councilmember Hudson stepped away. Okay, item 13. The fire staff recommends that the City Council approve the agreement with Fire Trucks Unlimited for refurbishing the 1992 KME fire apparatus currently owned by the City of Coolidge. Chief, welcome.
Thank you very much, Mayor Thompson, council members. The purpose of this project is going to be to maximize available taxpayer funds to put in service a refurbished fire apparatus so that can be utilized for frontline service. This particular vehicle has been out of service due to a pump failure since 2018. The vehicle is in good working order mechanically and currently has 21,000 miles and about 2,000 operational hours. According to the vendor, Fire Trucks Unlimited, the refurbishment will reset the life of the vehicle so that we can expect another 10 to 15 years of service. of operational life from this truck and bring it up to NFPA 2 requirements. Due to the rapidly increasing costs of new replacement vehicles and the continued maintenance costs associated with these vehicles, the fire department will be able to put into service a fully functioning fire apparatus that's much more efficient in operation and maintenance at a much more fiscally responsible cost. The fire department leadership encourages the city council to enter into this contract to complete this project, as this will aid the department in maintaining its ISO rating of 4 while putting into service a vehicle with a warranty and reduced maintenance costs. And this will also result in a savings to the department and the city of Coolidge, not only in thousands, but over $1.522 million over the life of the vehicle. The cost of a comparable 2020 model fire apparatus is nearing the $760,000 mark. The city would need to acquire a debt service to purchase this vehicle. And as we know by state law, we are required to not only hold the price of the vehicle, but the same amount of the price vehicle in reserve. So this would intentionally tie up about $1.5 million of city funds over the life of the vehicle. As the contract states that you have in your packet, the city would be required to pay a 50% down at the start of the refurbishment, and then a 50% at the end of the refurbishment, pending inspection by Public Works, maintenance personnel, and myself. The refurbishment cost would be $187,242. That includes all the components replaced, rebuilt, or added to it. We've already done the shipping cost of it. We'll also have to have an incur cost of radio and MDT installation, which will be about $2,000. We'll have to buy a set of tires. We're going to buy the set of tires because we can actually get them cheaper than the vendor can. So that brings our total to $192,538.42. We already have $140,000 of it from the sale of Rescue 534. So the total cost of the city would be $52,538.42. We have several components that are on the vehicle that are going to be, basically the vehicle is going to be refurbished from bumper to bumper, top to bottom. After we sent the vehicle to Fire Trucks Unlimited for an inspection, there were quite a few components that we decided we needed to add to it to bring it up to comfort level and safety level. Some of the big major costs that we're going to be adding to this vehicle, we're going to be adding an entire air conditioning system. The truck was originally bought without an air conditioning system, so we're going to add one. The injector pumps, the suspension components, the steering components are all going to be brand new and added. We're also going to be adding a brand new Hale pump and gearbox, along with all the lettering and graphing that goes along with it. And then some various body work that needs to be done on the vehicle. Our original estimate for the vehicle came in around $143. With these extra add-ons, it brings the price up to $187. So we'll be able to get a completely refurbished in-service fire apparatus for $192,000. I'm free to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, we'll start down there with Councilmember Walker if he has any questions.
So, do we have a list or an idea of what's going to be replaced, what's going to be rebuilt, what's going to be new? I mean, what's going to be rebuilt, what's going to be new?
Everything, there's in your agenda item packet, there is the quote that has all the components that will either be rebuilt, added brand new, or reworked as far as the body goes.
And what's the warranty on the rebuilt stuff?
The entire warranty is 1 year.
So it doesn't matter if it's rebuilt, new, it's a year.
Everything that Fire Trucks Unlimited touches, meaning if they replace it, they add it, they install it new, has a 1 year warranty.
With the money we're spending on this one, estimate to get a new one? Or a newer one?
To get a newer one, to get a newer refurb or get a brand new vehicle?
Brand new one.
A brand new vehicle be around the $700,000 mark for a comparable this type of engine.
I'll probably come up with more here in a minute. Just go ahead.
Good evening, Chief.
Evening.
There was some concerns that were brought to me, and I wish they would have been brought earlier, but they were brought to me today, and I'd really like to have more time to look into it. But supposedly, this particular citizen said that we could get a brand new one for about $360,000 with about a $40,000 upfitting and things that we would need for it that it does not have, which is about $400,000. But this particular truck is not the same type of a truck that we're refurbishing. Is that correct?
That is correct.
What's the difference between the two trucks?
The particular truck that you were talking about is a different type of vehicle. The one we're talking about refurbishing is a Type 1 apparatus, which means that it has a water and pump capacity of 1,000 gallons or more. We do have some apparatus that are Type 2s that basically do the same function, they just have lesser capacities. This one is going to the same capacity as our frontline engine right now, we're 534, which are Type 1s. So when you talk about the refurb buying new, you're talking about two different types of vehicles.
Okay. Also, it was brought to my attention that supposedly this vehicle doesn't have air conditioning, and when it was bought brand new, did not have air conditioning.
That's correct.
And that was a concern.
That's correct. When it was first bought in 1992, it did not have air conditioning. We're going to be adding a $9,000 air conditioning system to the vehicle.
And that's included in the bid?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I know that we have that the engine 534 is a truck that we use every day to do probably 80% of the work for EMT calls.
Correct.
And that truck, of course, running that every day, 3 or 4 times a day, up and down the road, costs money to run.
It does.
And it also eventually costs money to keep the maintenance up.
It does.
So adding this vehicle would kind of put that one at a little bit of a rest?
It will. Last year alone, with Engine 534, we spent over $19,000 in maintenance costs for one vehicle. My maintenance budget for the fire department is $32,000. That's what it was for this budget year. So basically, I spent over half of my budget on one vehicle. By doing a refurb, and a lot of this cost that we did on Engine 534, there were a lot of things that Zach and his crew can do with this vehicle, but with Engine 534. But a lot of the maintenance must be third-party vendored out to either Casa Grande or up in the valley because of the technology and the specialization of the technology. So that's where a lot of our cost goes, is to get this thing fixed by third-party vendors.
And what other equipment that we have, what other trucks do we have besides the 534?
Mm-hmm.
What are the other units that we have?
We have 531, which is a 1996, basically a commercial pumper. We have Engine 532, which is a 2002 commercial pumper. We have our ladder truck, which is a 99. We have a tanker, which is a 2014, and then we have various command vehicles.
Okay. Now, this unit, what's going to be the main purpose of this vehicle?
The main purpose of this vehicle is going to be frontline first response vehicle.
Okay. So will we be using that in everyday EMT calls that we have?
Correct.
Day?
Correct.
And the budget, which we just went through for 2021, there's no way that we could afford a brand new truck. I mean, not only do you have to pay $700,000 to $800,000 for the equivalent truck brand new, but then we have to make sure that we have the equivalent amount of money in our budget to pay for that. So we're tying up about $1.4 million.
That is correct.
So even if we found one for $500,000, we would still have to be an in-service debt because we don't have the cash to pay for it. And so we would have to put aside another $500,000 if something happened down the road. That
Correct.
we could show the state of Arizona that we have the capability of paying that truck off. Is that
Correct. The reason for that state law is because if something were to happen in the city, that we would not be going insolvent on the particular loans that we have. So no matter what price of the vehicle could be $1 million or it could be $300,000. It doesn't matter the price of the vehicle. If we have to go into debt services, we have to keep that original purchase price in reserve over the life of the loan.
And just going through the budget and seeing what's happened with COVID-19 and the state shared revenue and everything else that we have, we're not making any major purchases for the next 2 years at least.
No, we're not.
So if we did not approve this, we would not get another unit that we could use. We'd be using the same engine again as much as we are and having the same maintenance costs and everything on that. Is that correct?
Correct. In fact, if we didn't get anything right now, our maintenance costs would actually rise because we're having to fix older vehicles.
And I went through this and saw that other fire departments have had ones done. And of course, you always see the good. You don't see anybody complaining about it. That's just the way the world is. So it's either doing this or getting nothing at all.
Correct.
And it's going to meet all the requirements, specifications, safety items, and everything. It's not going to put our firefighters in harm using that vehicle every day.
No, when we get the vehicle back, it'll be NFPA 2 compliant, which NFPA 2 compliancy covers refurbished vehicles in the fire service.
Is there an inspection process after the truck is done?
Correct. It'll be myself and Public Works maintenance personnel, along with Fire Trucks Unlimited maintenance personnel.
So is there anybody from a fire organization other than our own or Public Works that inspects this to make sure that it falls under these guidelines and that it's ready and it's safe to go?
As of now, we can definitely inquire if we can have an outside third-party agency inspect it with us.
And this truck was parked because of the pumper?
The pump failed pump testing, so we had to, according to NFPA regulations, we had to take it out of service.
So why is there a need to refurbish it?
Because our fleet is aging. We do not have the available funds in order to start doing a vehicle replacement policy because of the expense of our vehicles. As you know, fire departments have probably the most expensive vehicles that any city, not us, but any city will ever purchase. So in lieu of the availability of funds or the ability to acquire debt services, this is our next best option.
Transmission, are they functional? What about those two particular items?
Right now, the engine has 21,000 miles on it, along with the transmission has 2,000 operational hours. It's been inspected by Fire Trucks Unlimited, their maintenance crew, and originally, in our original quote, we had to rebuild the engine and transmission, but after they inspected it, they said there was actually no need to rebuild an engine with 21,000 miles on it or a transmission with 2,000 hours. So we took those costs out.
And nowadays, I mean, everybody does rebuild engines, rebuild transmissions. I mean, you never overhaul an engine anymore. I mean, you pretty much don't. You pretty much never buy a brand new engine or transmission. I mean, the cost is prohibitive to do that. Zach, are you comfortable with the engine, transmission, rear end in this truck?
So we, me and Chief and my guys, we went over the truck, ourselves, and we asked Fire Trucks Unlimited to do oil samples on tranny and on the engine. We have these same engines and trannies in some of the dump trucks in the Public Works Division. They're up around probably 9,500 hours with, several, 1,000 miles on them, and they still just keep trucking. Like I've told everybody, we don't have a crystal ball. I would like to say, oh, no, there's never going to be an issue. I unfortunately don't know that, but what me and Chief and the guys have seen out of the truck, we've took, several people for rides in it. It's still strong, no smoke. It runs good. We kind of just weighed the options of paying, I think it was $25,000 to $30,000 to have them in frame this engine, and they and us all agree that, it's just, with 21,000 miles, it's just really not a good ideal. So, I mean, I definitely think the motor's going to be fine, but, like I said, I have no crystal ball. I can't,
But have they done a compression test on it? I know you said they took oil samples out of it.
Yeah.
Which I know I've got customers of mine that when they do buy vehicles with over 100,000 miles on them, they do take oil samples out, send it up to Empire Machinery, and have it gone through to see basically if there's any metal or anything in it.
Yeah.
And make sure that it is a good vehicle. It is a good engine. So I know some of my customers do that.
Yeah, and I told Chief that let's defer to them because, we in Public Works have never done a refurb before as far as this is concerned, So I told them let's, defer to the professionals. These guys refurb just about everything you can think of. And, we told them that an oil sample would be something we definitely would want to see. They agreed. And like Chief said, they were like, with this low amount of hours, they don't think it's a good idea to do it because it'd be kind of just wasting the money. The engine's just kind of broke in. I mean, we service our big diesel engines about every 5,000 to 10,000 miles, depending on what conditions they're in. So, hours-wise. So, the motors really doesn't have a lot of time on it. It really doesn't. So,
and you brought up a good point, Zach. And there's no way, I know that most of your diesels nowadays and everything, they go by hours because, the miles that are put on it is one thing, but constantly running all day long versus whether it be a police vehicle or a fire vehicle that they idle or have more idling time than they do drive time.
Yes.
And there was no way to even find out how many hours was. For 20,000 miles on the vehicle, I would assume there wasn't that many hours on it.
Well, we finally did find it, the actual hour meter, and it had 2,000 hours on it is what it had. It has 2,000 hours. And like I said, some of our other dump trucks are up around the 95, 100 hours, and like I said, they're still running fine. Street Department uses them every day on the road projects and, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, thank you, Zach.
Any other questions for me?
Yeah, I do have a couple of questions, but I think that I wanted to. Are you familiar with? I know that there was another truck that came into the picture. Chief, does Zach know about the other truck?
Yeah. Fire Trucks Unlimited has a website with lots of vehicles, lots of refurbs, lots of projects they have going on. And they had one that came up fairly recently because they just got it back from a fire department. It's a 2005 Pierce Enforcer, which is very similar to the vehicle that we have now. The price is set at $170,000 for this vehicle. And I want to do what's best and what's fiscally responsible for the community and for the city. So I inquired about this particular vehicle. I have no idea, never even seen it. All I've seen it is online. But I did talk to Fire Trucks Unlimited this morning, and that they said that the vehicle is in fact $170,000. It's a 2005, but it also has 100,000 miles on it. It's been used as a rental vehicle. It has not been refurbished. It's a straight used vehicle. So that's when I was looking for options for the refurb, this one presented itself actually fairly recently. Then that's all the information I know about it.
My initial impression is one sounds a lot better than the other, but at least from my perspective, my job here is to get the best deal for our taxpayers and our fire department and our future. And on more than one occasion, I've sat down with Zach and talked to him about the cost of rehabbing first it was police vehicles. For a long time it was police vehicles, then it was fire vehicles, and then it's been other vehicles, but now it's fire vehicles. It cost us a lot of money.
It does.
It costs the city a lot of money.
It does.
And we need to do what is best for us in the long run. We'll see it more now in the next couple of years than we have in the past, because as Gabe already mentioned to us, that our revenues taxes especially, will be less in the next couple of years than they have been in the past, because they'll catch up to us. They're working backwards on us now. And due to the situation we're in now, the tax dollars won't be as good coming in the next couple of years. So it's more important that coming upon us to be more responsible with our tax money. I'm leaning, and again, I got one vote just like everybody else. I would like to take a look, and I wouldn't have known about that truck, Chief, if you wouldn't have sent me a picture of it. So, for those who think that there's a giant conspiracy or anything else going on, they're very wrong. There's nothing going on here except this council's trying to do the best for the citizens of this community and for the fire department long range, because sooner or later we're going to have to build fire stations to the south or to the central or wherever the fire plan tells us they're going to need to be. That won't be up to us, because we're not experts in that field. But I do know if we need another truck, we need to get the best one for the money. And I do know that the guy standing next to you is the guy who's going to have to work on them and pay for them. Or, his budget, he's going to have to be responsible. So I would feel more comfortable if he's seen one of them. Maybe you guys should look at the other one. He's kind of independent. He works on them. He doesn't drive them, and he doesn't,
Well, the most important thing, and I spoke with the chief just a little bit, given this one for the 171, like I told chief, and we agree, we'd be moving into a 2005. That's always a plus, but the truck will still have to be refurbed. It's a 2005, it's coming up on, 19, 20 years. NFPA says 25 years, and then it should be moved. And now, of course, that's an NFPA recommendation, but it should be moved out unless it's refurb. But we don't want to take on close to a 20-year-old truck with a TAC-4 suspension. If you think your maintenance budget's bad now, it's going to get real bad if it's not refurbed. So just take in consideration, this 1992 refurb is looking into the 140 to the 170, 90 area. This 2005 is going to have, the regen system and a lot more tech, just the gearboxes alone on the TAC-4 suspension are $12,000. And that's all got to be replaced, or it's not a good deal for the city of Coolidge. So the refurb price on these new ones is going to get high too. So that 171 is going to turn in. They gave Chief a rough when we talked a little bit. I don't remember.
They gave us a rough estimate for refurb on that particular vehicle, the 2005, without getting into specific numbers, at a minimum of $100,000 for refurb.
My personal opinion, that'd double. My opinion. The technology in that truck is, and don't get me wrong, you can ask my boss. I think of the fire department very highly. I would love to give them the most brand new, but it just comes back to the money situation. Like I said, that refurb on that 2005, keep in mind, it's going to get, that rough 100,000. I don't feel that's accurate in any way, shape, or form.
Well, what do we, I mean, and I don't, maybe these guys will have a motion and they'll vote and that'll be that. And that's fine with me. I'm curious. I would like to know, do we have an estimate on the other one? We know what the other one's going to cost us, the one that we initially talked about?
The 2005 one?
Yeah.
No, we do not have any numbers whatsoever. The only communication that I've had with Fire Trucks Unlimited involving this vehicle was about a 30-minute phone conversation this morning about it, and without actually phically going there, looking the vehicle over, finding out exactly what needs to be done to it, I would be remiss to sit up here and throw numbers at you when I don't know.
Well, can that,
Mr. Mayor, one of the other things I don't know that we've really hit on, and I've learned through this process, is I've tried to learn as much as I can about fire trucks as well. And Zach, you're probably best to answer this operational cost between the 1992 without the regen system and the newer vehicle with a regen system. Fuel cost, operational cost. Is there a big difference between the two?
The 92, as much as everybody would buck and not want to agree, the 92, if you're talking apples for apples, both refurb, the 92 is going to run cheaper because it's a DT466. It's not on the bigger platform like the ones in these other trucks. The TAC4 suspensions are very expensive. The disc brake systems, all good quality stuff versus the 92 is still good quality also. It's just, it's an older design. They will run cheaper. The front tires alone on the 92 are going to set you back about $600. Front tires on the 2005 and 534 are going to set you back probably around $1,400 to $1,500. E534 is eating a set of tires probably once or twice a year because it's so big, it's so heavy, and the way that it turns, it eats tires. This truck is the same TAC4 suspension. It's going to do the same thing. So.
What about the regen and the fuel consumption?
Regen and all that will also, cause. It's just going to be, more added maintenance, yes, on the 2005 versus the older. It's cleaner though, but cost effective.
And just so you guys can have some background information, what we're going to gain out of going to a 2005 as opposed to the 92, there'll be some newer technology on it. But our maintenance costs and fuel costs will be, without a doubt, more expensive.
So is that new technology going to be safer?
The new tech.
Is that going to make the truck safer? Is that going to be safer for the firefighters?
It's when you compare a 2005 technology to 1992 technology, it's like comparing apples to oranges. The 92, when it gets refurbished, is going to comply with all NFPA 2 standards just for safety, all safety aspects of it.
The different technology, the newer technology on
Yes.
2005 versus the 92, if that was refurbished, will that be safer for our firefighters, and is that a safer piece of equipment?
And I don't know if it actually would be safer. It would be easier to probably operate. It would probably look like a newer body style, but as far as maintenance costs, it's going to be more expensive. Safety factors are basically going to be the same because they're both going to meet NFPA 2 requirements for refurbishments.
And we couldn't afford the other one anyways.
Which one? The 2005?
Right. I mean, because you're talking $175,000, $100,000 refurbish it. It's $275,000, so you're getting $300,000, and the money just isn't there to pay for it.
Correct. I mean, we have the available funds, the $140,000 from the sale of Rescue 534 that's available. So technically, all the city would need to come up with in order to purchase the 2005 would be around $30,000. But that does not include at all the refurbishment of the vehicle. And because the Fire Trucks Unlimited has already said that the truck needs an engine rebuild. That's already $25,000. So you're already $50,000 and you haven't even refurbed the vehicle as far as city expenditures. He said at least a minimum of $100,000 for a refurbishment on this vehicle. The fire department leadership and Zach will be more than happy to go and take a look at this vehicle. we're open to all options, but just know that it is not going to come out cheaper than refurbishment of the 1992.
And if I could say something, Mr. Walker, to answer your question, I mean, so you guys know, me and Chief are on the same page. We would love to see these guys in a brand new truck.
I think everybody here would like
That's
to
what
see
we'd
that.
love, and it's just like newer cars today. A 92 versus a 2019. Yeah, there's a lot of things that have changed. There is. Let's just be honest. There's things that have changed. The 92 is still safe, but now granted, the 2019s have a lot more technology and things that help out by all means and make it just that much safer. But again, we're at that same issue of that's what we'd like as a brand new truck for these guys. But
I don't know. They need equipment, they need new equipment, but when you start talking about fire services, firefighting, and refurbished, to me, that just doesn't, I mean, I know we can't afford a brand new one, but it's just, I don't know. Let's send guys into a burning house with a refurbished truck, and I don't know. I mean, I understand we can't buy a new one. I get that. There's no way. I mean, we'd have to sell this building and a couple other buildings in town to.
Well, I had a couple questions.
Go ahead.
Our frontline truck that we have right now, our A number 1.
Yes.
What year is it?
That's 2009.
2009. And what's the life expectancy of the average of that truck? How many years are you expecting to get out of it? Just average.
FPA recommends 25.
25 years. Okay, well, that's a good long time. Had the 92. It just went out of service 2 years ago, and it's because of the pump. Otherwise, it'd still be in line. If our frontline truck went down, what do we have for a backup?
Our closest vehicle that we have for backup is a 2002.
2002. Okay, so if we refurbish this truck, it's going to have AC. I assume it's going to have backup camera. It's going to be able to stop when you want it to stop, go when you want it to go. It's going to pump. It's going to work. It's going to be 100%. It's just going to be 18 years old, and that's the difference. Other than that, it's going to be a brand new truck, but it's just an 18-year-old truck. And
well, 28-year-old.
28-year-old.
Yeah.
28-year-old truck. So it's going to be a 28-year-old truck, but everything's going to be brand new. They're going to go through it bumper to bumper. Everything's going to work. It's going to be inspected not only by you guys, but by the division that actually does it. And then if there's some uncomfort about it, we could have a third party go in and inspect the truck and give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
That's correct. When we take delivery of this vehicle, if we decide to get it refurbished, it will come with a certified pump test with it, saying that the pump works. It pumps the stated amount of pressure and volume that it's supposed to. It'll have all the safety aspects that an NFPA 2 refurbished vehicle is required to have. And everything that they replace, touch, or add to it will be warrantied and will be new to the vehicle.
And so we're expecting this truck, if I read it right, to be solid for 10 to 15 years.
That's what Fire Trucks Unlimited is saying, that it basically, once we do this, it resets the life of the vehicle for another 10 to 15 years, depending on usage.
So saying we went ahead and did this, if we got 5 years out of this truck with no issues, just regular maintenance, tires, oil, the normal wear and tear issues, and we got 5 years out of it, by the time things have settled down with COVID, say Nikola does come in, I mean, the city's growing as it is. There's a lot other monies that are coming in, one-time monies. Just talking with Gabe, talking about how we're setting ourselves up for a better situation in the next 2 years. A new fire truck to replace one of our older ones is something that could happen in the future, and this would be a quality backup.
Most definitely. Basically, what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a buffer for ourselves until Coolidge can sustain the growth and we can sustain the revenue streams in order to make these large purchases.
And then talking about EMS calls, I see it all the time. Fire department is out there doing EMS calls all the time. And so this would be a truck that would be lighter, cheaper, easier to maintain to do EMS calls in this truck.
That is correct.
Mayor, members of council, the other thing, and Chief maybe mentioned, I know recently we celebrated going from an ISO rating of 5 to an ISO rating of 4.
Correct.
I think in your report to the mayor and council, we were nearly an ISO rating of 3.
We were.
And there were a few reasons why we didn't accomplish that objective of a 3, which would potentially reduce or have an impact, positive impact on insurance rates on the citizens and businesses. Refurbishing this truck and putting it into use adds a piece of equipment that would probably help us in our ISO rating. Would that be true?
Potentially, yes, because what we have is once we have this vehicle, it's back into the rotation of the fleet. We can take some of our older ones, make them reserve apparatus, which is what we were lacking before, is some reserve apparatus. We are gaining some ground on the manpower through the SAFER grant. If we are successful with that, then we make up some ground on that. And also some of the areas that we were lacking in was the communications, and with the Tyler Tech project and the fire module that's coming online. This is just one little component, one little step that helps us gain the 1.83 points we were away from getting an ISO rating of 3.
So, but just for me, the skinny of it, I see we can have another fire truck in service that's as new as you can get for roughly $30,000-$40,000.
Basically, the cost to the city is additional funding-wise just a little over $52,000.
So $52,000, and we can have something that's been gone through a rebuilt truck, from bumper to bumper rebuilt truck for $52,000. Or we can go and look at this other possible truck that's a 2005. That's going to cost $170,000, and it's going to need a minimum of $100,000 in refurb. You're guessing it's going to be closer to $200,000 in refurb. I've dealt with the regen systems and that year of truck. They're awful. They're absolutely awful. There's nothing but trouble in those particular regens. So I'm not a big fan of 2005. I don't know anything. I know jack about the suspension on it, but just from what I've heard right now, it doesn't sound amazing. When it breaks down, it's 100,000 miles on that truck versus the truck that we've had in-house the whole time, and it has 21,000 miles on it. Looking at the 2005, to me, doesn't make sense because it's like buying a fire truck off of Craigslist. It doesn't make sense to me.
Councilmember Murrieta.
I mean, given the financial situation that we're in, I agree that we all agree that get a brand new truck. Absolutely. But with the money that we have going through this line by line, I mean, they're going to replace everything and they're going to update everything to the current NFPA required parts. And I mean, I think that's the best bang for our buck, really.
It's in this particular quote and what you're seeing now has gone through several drafts. This is the best final draft that we can get and get all the components that we need that will provide a much level higher of comfort as the original vehicle, provide more capabilities than the original vehicle was for a fraction of the cost of a new vehicle. But we, the fire department and public works maintenance, are more than open to any suggestions, or we can go look at any vehicle that you want us to go look at and make a determination on the viability of the purchase of that vehicle, given the potential replacement or refurbishment costs of that vehicle.
They do for a living. They're going to make sure
Well, it's pretty apparent that a good number, a good number of the people here think that one is obviously way ahead of the other. I'm not thoroughly convinced. I mean, based on the argument I'm hearing now, that yeah, but I'm still not thoroughly convinced that we couldn't wait a couple of weeks and we couldn't pencil it out and you couldn't go look at the truck. You guys couldn't go up there and look at it and see if it's really the situation you think it is. But it's an action item. I can, call for it, and if they vote on it, then that's that. I'm good.
I agree. I mean, I want to look at all of our options we have, and yeah, right now it looks like it's going to cost us a lot more money to refurbish than the 92.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We don't know. We don't know. And maybe there's something else up there when you're up there. We just.
Well, to me, it sounds a lot. It sounds a lot better, and that's one of the things that makes me suspicious. I've bought a number of vehicles over the years that they sounded.
Here's my issue. They're telling us, okay, we're going to give you a vehicle with 10 to 15 more years. But we're only going to warranty for a year. I get it, but they're going to add 10 to 15 years to this truck, but they're only going to warranty for a year. And I realize they do this for a living. This is what they specialize in. Is that the normal?
That's on a refurb. That is, even if we purchased the 2005 and did no refurb on it, our warranty would be 90 days. Obviously, if we did the engine rebuild on it, that'd warranty the engine rebuild for a year. If we did a full refurbishment on it, they would warranty everything they refurbished for a year on the 2005, and then every maintenance and repair cost would fall upon the city, just like it would the 1992.
Even in the refurb trash truck world, it was the same. It was 1 year with those guys too. I know they're not the same, but.
Well, this is your world, Zach. If you go up, will they do testing on it? To satisfy you, if you go up there and look at it.
Yeah, we'll go up there and drive it like we stole it. That's not a problem.
Well, maybe you should, maybe you should just drive it back. Yeah. But
it's just like I said. That's why I wanted to be open. The refurb. This 92, we're looking around to the 150 to the 180, 90 to refurb. This machine has a lot more in it. The refurb is not going to be 100,000. I know it's not.
Yeah.
Because like you said, I'm very meticulous of what I want on the trucks, and they're going to do it right, and it's going to, because I want them to be safe, so it's going to get expensive.
And maybe I'm wasting everybody's time. Maybe it's cost prohibitive, and it very well could be. But
it doesn't hurt to look. It's okay.
It doesn't. We don't need it in the next 2 weeks, do we, Chief?
No, we do not.
We're going to be okay until the next meeting.
We'll be okay for 2 weeks. Yes.
The thing is there is quite a timeline difference in the years, and if one's more complicated than the other, and it looks like it's going to be obviously more expensive to maintain and work on, those are disadvantages. But I would feel a lot better if we had a report to look at and cost comparisons, and then it would make a lot more sense to me why we decided, or I decided what I decided, because I didn't know anything about it until right before the meeting, and I want to be a lot more sure. This is something we're going to be I'm not going to say stuck with. This is something that our firemen are going to use for a long time, and our citizens are going to depend on. And I think it's important we make the right decision. And it's hard for me to make the right decision when we're looking at something that important. And I've had I don't know, what have been the meeting now? I've known about it about 2 hours and 15 minutes. So I'd like a little more time to look at and make the decision.
And that's a very wise decision. And believe me, there's always, you know how it is. Steve's been in the car business a long time. You think you get a great deal on a car, and then the next day you look and it's like you find it cheaper. There's always going to be a better deal out there. This potentially could be the find of a lifetime? I don't know. And that's the reason that I brought it to the council's attention and to Rick's attention, just so we could make sure that we cover all bases to make sure that we are spending our money as fiscally responsible as possible. This vehicle may be 100% solid, ready to go. We need an engine rebuild, and that's it. Or it could need $200,000 in refurbishment. We have no idea. What we do know is that we own a vehicle that has 21,000 miles on it, has 2,000 hours, and will only cost us $52,000 to get back into service in additional funds.
And what everybody has said makes perfect sense to me, and I don't. They may all be right, but for 2 more weeks, the price of you guys going up there, looking at it, running some tests, putting the cost, estimates and comparisons on paper, bringing them back. If that is indeed the case, then my vote will be pretty easy. But I feel more comfortable if I had that information.
And then that's exactly what we'll do.
Well, I mean, that's still.
If it's so voted on.
You guys wanna,
Yeah, and we can't afford a new one, so that is
Yeah.
totally out. I mean,
Yeah,
there's just no way. I mean, everybody here would love to buy a brand new fire truck. I mean, but we cannot afford it.
I agree.
So we do need to spend the money for the citizens of Coolidge as wisely as we can. And I think we could probably step back and take a look at this. Zach, going up there with you, and the miles on a vehicle like that is not what counts. It's the hours on the vehicle that counts.
Correct.
The other truck's a rental truck. I don't know how many people have rented cars before. I don't think they treat them like they do their own personal vehicles. So that's a big concern. But I think if we sat down and analyzed it, got the cost and everything, and make the best decision for the citizens of Coolidge and for the fire department.
I agree.
okay, then
Make a motion to table.
is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion to table. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
guys. I guess have a nice trip. Drive it like you stole it. Okay. Item 14. Consider approval of the fiscal year 2021 benefits plans by remaining with the Blue Cross Blue Shield as an insurance provider for medical and life insurance, changing dental from Principal to Blue Cross Blue Shield, and remaining with VSP through Principal for Vision, authorizing the city manager to execute the necessary documents. Was that you, Norma?
Yes, Honorable
Okay.
Mayor and members of the council. Before you tonight for consideration is the approval of the city's benefit plans for fiscal year 2021. We are recommending that we remain with Blue Cross Blue Shield as the medical provider, and which includes also the life insurance, and then changing dental from Principal to Blue Cross Blue Shield, and then remaining with VSP for vision. Back in March, we met with our insurance broker, Eric Johnson, with GLJ Insurance, and he notified the city that at that time the medical or Blue Cross Blue Shield was there was gonna be a 15.96% increase to medical benefits due to large medical claims. So the benefits team, which consisted of City Manager Miller, Finance Director Garcia, and myself, we sat down with Eric, or we met remotely, but he felt, after we reviewed the large claims and after we consulted with him, we felt that it was decided that the best action to take was to have Eric go back out, negotiate a no-bid offer, meaning that we would not shop out our benefits, but go back to Blue Cross Blue Shield and see if he could do better. If you know Eric, he's our insurance guru, and he is so good at what he does. So we said yes, we gave him the okay. That resulted in a reduced increase of 12.45%. Well, knowing Eric, he said, you know what, I think I can do better. But he wanted to go back out and renegotiate and throw in some other options. He did that. Those options were bundling dental with medical. They were before separately. And then that resulted in a 9.95% increase or reduced increase. That was the final. He said this is probably the best we're going to get it. The benefits team was happy with that. We asked him to move forward. He also talked about other options where we have an individual AFLAC plan, and he talked to us about possibly bundling, or not bundling, excuse me, going from an individual plan to a group plan with AFLAC, which could be a cost savings for the employee. The city does not pay any of the AFLAC costs. That's all out of pocket from the employee. So we decided to move forward with that. We thought maybe that would be a good thing for our employees. So the two biggest changes is moving dental from principal and bundling it with Blue Cross Blue Shield under the medical, and then switching from an individual AFLAC plan to a group plan. With this, the overall impact, fiscal impact is, I think last year we had over 1.5 million for our premium rates. This would result in a 1.621 million, which is about 147,000 increase. So staff is recommending to move forward, remain with Blue Cross Blue Shield, bundle our dental, switching them to Blue Cross Blue Shield, remaining with VSP for our vision, and then keeping all the other benefits the same. So, and I can answer any questions you may have.
Is the coverage, Norma, is the dental coverage the same?
Yes, yes, the plan will be the same.
I don't really have any questions about it. And I knew about how much the health insurance is a year for the city of Coolidge. Went up $200,000 last year and $146,000 this year. It's $1.5 million. I, being on the city council, have the opportunity to be on the insurance, but I have to pay for it. So I get $400 a month for being on the city council. I give the city of Coolidge $145 out of my pocket, which is $550, pretty close to that. If they were to pay 70% of my spouse, that's about another $385. So it comes in about $1,000 a month that the city pays health care for the employee and a spouse, and a pretty good time. With this increase, I don't know what it's going to cost me, but I might have to go to a lesser plan and go with Garrett Motors, because $550 a month every month out of my pocket, pretty expensive. But I just want the employees of the city of Coolidge to know that we do provide an excellent health care, that it is a benefit. So whatever money that you do make a month, you can just tack on another $1,000 a month that you're basically getting if you have your spouse on it. So I think the city of Coolidge and the city council looks after our employees and their health care, and that it is a good deal. And it is a benefit, and it is actually, you're actually making that money per month. Because if you go to the one that I might have to go to with Garrett Motors, it doesn't cover everything that this plan covers, but I've got to look at my cost expenses too. So, and I know that Gary does a great job, and Blue Cross Blue Shield is a great plan. And I just hope that the citizens, employees of the city of Coolidge recognize that and appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I would like to add just one more thing, Mayor and members of the council. The plan will still offer the two options. There'll be the 80-20 co-insurance, and or which the city pays 100% for the employee and 70-30 for dependents. And then they'll have the other option of the 100%, which the employee will pay the difference. So it'll remain just exactly like it is now. So I just wanted to point that out.
Okay, thank you. Nothing else down here?
Further discussion, I make a motion we approve it.
Second.
Okay, no. Motion and a second. Choose your second, Norma. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you. Okay, we'll move into the report from the mayor and council. We'll start down here with Councilmember Walker. Jimmy?
Nothing, Mayor.
Steve?
The only thing I had is what the pastor brought up this evening before he did the opening prayer. I found out today that Paul Pretzel did pass away from his daughter, who is
a friend of mine. Paul was a longtime citizen of Coolidge, farmer, committed to the city of Coolidge, put 20-some years in as a city council member, was very active in the community and his church. He was a great man, and we lost a great man yesterday, so that's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Ben?
Nothing.
Tatiana?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Well, now I am suspicious. Okay. The only thing I've attended the CAG meeting. You didn't go to that, did you? Okay. I was at the VFW's 75th anniversary celebration the other morning. And I had the pleasure of being on the council with Councilmember Pritchell. And I can tell you he was an interesting fellow to be on the council with. He called them midget lots. He hated lots that were 50 foot by anything. He called them midget lots. He thought everything in town should be horse properties. And anytime you wanted to lower the speed limit anywhere in Coolidge, he voted no. He didn't believe in slowing down. That guy was something else.
I want to put a little thing. I worked at Hudgens Ford, and he ran 4 trucks, and he had an old white and green, and I think everybody that knew Paul Pretzel knew this truck. It would go down the road like this.
Yeah.
Because the weight in the back, there's no way that axle shouldn't have broken too, because of the weight of it. He had so much stuff in the back of that truck. But the truck was out at his farm, and a guy was working on a picker out there that broke down. And he was at Hudgens Ford with another vehicle, and we're talking, and his worker called him up, and he says, "Hey, I'm looking for this pin." And he said, "Well, if you go to the front of the cab of the truck, the bed, and go about 2 feet down on the left-hand side, you'll find it." And he was, "Yep, I got it right here, Paul."
Yeah.
Even though he had probably 1,000 pounds with us, we thought it was junk. It was stuff that he knew exactly where it was and what he needed to use for it. So I just thought that's pretty funny.
That guy was something else.
Water, that's what I remember him for. He knew water.
Yeah, he did know water. He was our representative for years on the water board, and he was probably one of the sharpest guys around when it came to water. He kept us in business when it came to water. So, but he was a character. So, if there's nothing further, I need a motion to get out of here.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you for coming, everybody.